Hello and welcome to a Voices of the Vic podcast with me, Ben Aiton and Mike Duffy. We're back again. We're spoiling you lot, aren't we? We were back Thursday night, now we're back Sunday night. So you've got us twice within 3 days now. So you lucky lot. Unfortunately, we're not back to discuss a Watford victory. We are back to discuss Watford drawing at home to Rotherham United for the second time this season. And for the second time this season, it was a 1-1 draw. Watford have now dropped 4 points against Rotherham United this season. These are the kind of games that you have to win if you're serious about promotion. And Watford have fumbled. And I think after yesterday's result and Sheffield United and Burnley both winning Friday night, I think we've all came to a realisation now that automatics, they've gone. All we've got to be hopeful for now is a playoff spot, but those playoff spots are going to be tight come the end of the season. I think there's only 3-4 points separating third place and 10th. So that's how tight it is at the moment. And there's a couple of teams who've got games in hand as well, which will make it even tougher. And Watford aren't one of those sides. Our neighbours up the road have a game in hand, which doesn't look too good. But yeah, I said I've got Mike with me. So Mike, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well. Just a shame we're not here to talk about another win. As you say, they're the games that you've got to be winning. That's no disrespect to Rotherham, but Blackpool. We've dropped points to Millwall. We've dropped points to Swansea. We've dropped points to Blackpool as well this season. And Rotherham, we've only picked up 2 points. Bottom line is, and it looks like we've already got a Rotherham fan in the comments, but. So you're not going to like what I'm going to say, mate. But bottom line is, these are the games you have to be picking up 6 points from, and we've only picked up 2 from a possible 6. So yeah, a little bit frustrating. But other than that, I'm all right. I'm 2 days into my driving course, so I do 5 hours a day from Saturday to Thursday. My test is on Thursday itself, so fingers crossed. I'm driving by Thursday and I can get down to more Watford games. But other than that. Yeah, all good. So I hope you're good as well, Ben, yeah?
Yeah, all good. I just frustrated with yesterday, really, like every other Watford fan. Obviously, you go to games expecting your team to turn up, especially against a side who's towards the bottom of the table. But then, do you reckon Watford have underestimated Rotherham United? They won 4-0 at the weekend previously at home to Blackburn Rovers. Should Watford maybe expected Rotherham to turn up and actually put in a performance like they did yesterday?
I think it's naive of any football team, regardless of where you are in the table, to think, right, these boys are coming to town. They might be near the bottom of the league, so we're going to steamroll them. I think Ben Foster said the season we went down, the Watford were guilty of underestimating teams and sort of turning up and thinking the game was won already. So you would like to think that we've learned that lesson. And, I know we joked about it between me and you, Ben, but you put a couple of stats up on our Twitter saying, Rotherham hadn't scored in the last 4 visits to Vicarage Road and they hadn't won in the last so many and all this. So, we just can't underestimate anyone. You've seen that. You look at who's down there and, they're well capable. Anyone's capable of beating anyone, and you've seen how close it is as well in the middle of the table. If you look at it, if we lost, I don't know, let's say 3 games in the spin, and the teams below us picked up points, we could easily be in the bottom half of the table. So that's how open it is. So for us, if we did underestimate Rotherham, then we got what we deserved, because teams like Rotherham and people down by the bottom, they're going to be fighting for their lives. So they'll put up a bigger fight than, the promotion chasing teams will at times as well. So, and you know what you're going to get from a team like Rotherham. They're going to be direct. They're going to be in your face. They're going to want it. And they did that. And, they came to Vicarage Road with a game plan, and I think they executed it superbly.
Yeah, I thought they did really well, actually. So credit where credit's due. I thought Rotherham came with a game plan. They unsettled Watford. They time wasted from minute 1, and the ref booked one of their players very early on for delaying a throw-in just in front of Southampton John stand. But I thought they looked a threat in that first half, Mike. I thought going forward, they looked a threat. It was balls into a box. It looked like we couldn't really deal with again. And then Daniel Barlaser. He had a shot just outside the box, and Daniel Batman made a good save. But there was warning signs before Rotherham United got their first goal, wasn't there, Mike? And then I don't know if I'm being a little bit harsh here, but when the ball came into the box from is it Fusu, the guy they've just recently signed on loan, he killed. I don't know if he crossed it into a box or had a shot on goal, but Daniel Batman he just parried it, but it didn't even look like he got enough on it, and it just fell to the feet of Shane Ferguson. And it was easy for him to put that into the back of the net. Am I being a little bit harsh on Daniel Batman there? Because I would have expected him to clear that ball. If he was parrying it, to parry it to at least the 18-yard box. It went about 6 yards.
I don't think you're being harsh at all. I mean, you would have had a good view because you're right behind the rookery. So, you might be better to tell me on this. But from, I was watching on TV and it looked like he perhaps misjudged it. And listen, he had a better view than I did. So for me to sit here and tell him what to do would be wrong. But from my view, it looked like that was, going wide. So if he'd have left it, then it wouldn't have been a problem. Whether he thought, right, I need to engage in this because it might only just whistle past the post. And if it does, he doesn't want to take that risk of, why didn't he go for it? So, to parry it, I think was a wrong decision. I think the shot, yes, it was maybe a bit of an unorthodox shot. So maybe moved in the air a little bit. I don't know, but I think he should have dealt with it a little bit better. Maybe, catch it, keep hold of it, or punch it further out. Because Shane Ferguson, he'll have been picking up a lottery ticket on the way home because he wouldn't have believed his luck. It just felt perfect for him. And, they were 1-0 up. And regardless of who you play in this division, if you go 1-0 down, you've got to score 2. And we're not exactly a free scoring Watford side this season. That's not to say we don't score a lot of goals. There's teams in the division that have scored less, but, we're not free scoring. So when you go 1-0 down, you sort of got a bit of a mountain to climb straight away. So, and especially against a team like Rotherham, who, if they get an early goal, they will look to sit on it. They will look to, have players back. They will look to absorb the attacks and just frustrate and time waste and slow the game. So, you are sort of pissing in the wind a little bit when you go 1-0 down against a team like Rotherham.
Yeah, and I must say as well, Rotherham, they scored 2 minutes after the whole of the ground did a standing ovation and were clapping for the young Rotherham fan, Henry Evans, sadly passed away last week at the age of 18. No one should lose their life at the age of 18. So thoughts go out to his family and friends. And I saw it was put on social media on Friday, and for Watford to catch wind of it straight away and then even put a photo. I don't know if you saw it on your TV, Mike, but above the stands, but they had a picture of him as well with his name, which I thought was a touch class from Watford and well reciprocated by everyone inside Vicarage Road. So yeah, but that was definitely for him, wasn't he? That Rotherham goal. It's funny, like we have moments like this. Like obviously we scored on the Graham Taylor minute last week for Toby Adeyemi, and then yesterday Rotherham scored 2 minutes after their fan sadly passed away. And it's funny how football does that to you sometimes, where things can happen like that. So yeah, that'll be Rotherham's tribute to him. But Watford did try to make an instant reply, wasn't it? I think it was a ball into a box from Martins, a free kick over on the right-hand side, probably about just inside the Watford half. And he chipped the ball towards the 18-yard box, and there was Bio. At first, from a distance, I thought it was Kone, but then people around me were saying it's Bio. And that was only inches over, Mike. I couldn't believe he even attempted that.
To be honest, Ben, I don't even think he hit it thinking, I'm going to have a pop at goal here. I think he just thought, right, if I can get a connection on it and I can put it goalwards, who knows what's going to happen. And let's not forget as well, Ismail Assar, I think before that, put a beautiful ball through to Mario Gaspar. And I don't want to criticise Gaspar here, but if it falls to anyone else that's got experience at scoring regularly or, even half regularly, I think that goes in. He's very unlucky to hit the post there. Maybe his lack of goal scoring sort of habit lets him down a little bit there, because that was a superb ball. But yeah, no, Bio has a brilliant chance, and I think we sort of gently knock the door of Rotherham. We don't, exactly try and, blow the doors off, so to speak, but we're certainly knocking the door to sort of see if anyone's in. And I think, on another day, some of those chances would have felt better. Some of those chances would have gone in. But I was sort of pleasantly surprised with the response. There's been a couple of times where we've got a goal down this season, and we've perhaps been a bit lethargic, a bit slow in reacting and all that. And I think the reaction was good from us, but it's a shame it took so long to actually equalise.
Yeah, well, Gasper could have had a hat trick yesterday. Considering he's our right back playing centre midfield, he had the chances of a striker yesterday, and obviously he showed his right back finishing yesterday, didn't he? He was unlucky with that chip over the top from Sarr. I thought that was unlucky. He had a shot from distance from a Watford corner in the second half, and then he had another opportunity as well, which looped over the crossbar. But I do like watching Gasper. He does give that entertainment value, because he's out of position, but he's giving it a good go, isn't he? He's not shying away from a challenge, and he's trying to keep hold of that Watford shirt, isn't he?
Yeah, and to be fair to Gaspar, he's a right back playing out of position, and half the battle when you're trying to score goals is getting into the positions to score goals, which he's doing. It's just unfortunate that he's not a natural finisher, or he's not used to scoring. So perhaps he'll do something different that maybe Bio would or Davis would, etc. But yeah, he's trying, and that at the end of the day, ultimately, that's what we want. I look back at one player that sort of showed that he was trying, but perhaps not the best technically. And I don't mean any disrespect to him, but the young lad, Jack Greaves, Watford fan, come through the academy. He come on against, I think he was come on. I saw him play against Reading in the FA Cup, and he come on, and he might not be the best technically, but he goes on and he tries his hardest, and he runs after every ball. He's trying to close everything down, and he's giving it a bloody good go. And ultimately, that's what we want to see as Watford fans. I lost count the amount of times, I was maybe on the podcast saying this last season, or you and James were on the podcast saying this last season, that we just wanted to see a bit of effort, a bit, players that want to play for the shirt. And Mario Gaspar's certainly giving it his all. And if Mario Gaspar's greatest for us isn't good enough, then fair enough. But at least he's trying. So yeah, it's just a shame those chances didn't fall to other people, or. Although the way that Bio's playing recently, I know he scored the winner for us against Norwich, but he wasn't exactly great in that game either. But the way that he's playing at the moment, if they'd have fallen to him, who's to say he wouldn't have done what Gaspar did? And Asprilla can't seem to shake that monkey off his back either, and he just needs a goal as well. So, yeah, perhaps shows that we're in need of someone that can finish the ball, and hopefully Henrique Araujo, or however you pronounce it, is the man, is the answer to our prayers.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's not been announced yet. Maybe they're waiting for Monday morning. Everyone going to work, everyone's a bit depressed about going to work on a Monday, so we need a bit of a pick-me-up. So maybe Watford are going to spoil us Monday morning with a cheeky Portuguese announcement. But I did think Bio actually did perform better yesterday than what he did against Blackpool. I know you didn't watch the game, Mike, but he was non-existent against Blackpool. And yesterday, he put himself about a little bit. He held the ball up a tiny bit more than what he would have done against Blackpool. I thought he offered for the ball more. I think there was a lovely moment in the second half where Kamara fed the ball down on the left-hand side. And Bio made a great run to get onto the end of it, held the ball up, and then he crossed it into a box. And I don't know if Gasper got a tiny little touch onto it, but it fed it into a pass of Martins, and then Martins hit the crossbar. But that was the kind of stuff that Bio wasn't doing last week. But he's still not doing it for me, Mike. And I think Bilic alluded to this in the interview after the game by saying that we just lack the quality, and Bayo hasn't got that quality to get you the goals. You need that instant goal store, goal scorer, and Bayo's just not that, is he? He's not your 15, 20 goal scorer that you need in this league. To be fair, I'm looking at this team for Watford, and we haven't even got that. We really do lack goals in this team.
It's been a while since, you have to probably look back at the days, especially in the Championship, of Igalo, Vidra, Dini. It's been a while since we've had someone that will score you 15, 20 goals a season. Even the season we went up a couple of years ago in lockdown, that nobody sort of ran away with it. I know Ismail Sarr got 13 goals. I think he got 13 anyway. But you look at the goal list and the top goal scorers, and it was quite a long list of how many people had scored. So there wasn't that one that was like miles ahead of everyone else. And I suppose you could look at that in a good way as well. It shows that the goals are shared throughout the team. But yeah, we are missing that someone, and hopefully this new chap from Benfica is the man and is the answer to our prayers. Kieran Davis has done, I think, a good job so far. But as someone rightly pointed out, and I've got a lot of mates who support Nottingham Forest, and they saw him last season. He's not your striker that's going to get you 10, 15 goals a season. He's ultimately there to chip in with the odd goal, and he will bring others into play. So, we perhaps knew that from when he was coming in. But hopefully this new guy is your man to do it, because Bayo's certainly not that man to do it. I think we all know why Bayo came in, and that's because of a certain somebody. And again, he's one that will chip in with a few goals. I mean, he's on 4 goals at the moment. I can't see him getting any more than 7. Happy to be proved wrong on that, but yeah, he's not someone that, if you're chasing a game, if it's 0-0, 1-1, whatever, and you see him come on, you don't think, right, here we go, we're really going for it now. You sort of, that's not what you want. But he got himself about a bit more yesterday, as you say. That chance for Martins, there was a chance in the first half as well where a ball come through, he headed it down, and we won a free kick right on the edge of the area. I think it was like 19 yards out, which Kone ended up hitting the bloody wall. So he's been hit with the Watford FC free kick curse. I don't know if he was any goods at free kicks for his last club, but he got himself about, but ultimately I don't think he's the man to get us those goals that we need.
No, but a man who did get the goal yesterday on his full debut was a fullback. And I think he showed more than what Ngaki has done in his whole time on how to be an attacking fullback. Ngaki just doesn't do it for me. I'm not saying Ferreira does, but Ferreira showed more promise yesterday than what Ngaki has done. I do think there's issues with Ferreira defensively. I do think that's a big issue for me. I think he was very exposed at times, and I think he could possibly be a weak link on that right-hand side. And I wouldn't mind us maybe recruiting again in the summer to get in a proper defensive right wing back, like someone who can actually make tackles and not shy away from putting himself about, and like an old school like right back for like in the Premier League or Championship. Like I just think we lack that. It's all great going forward and attacking, but realistically, Championship, okay, that's fine. You'd have to do bits of your defending, but if you got promoted and you're defending week in, week out in the Premier League, you're going to get caught out. And I don't think Ferreira is at that level. He's shown promise in his full debut yesterday and little glimpses against Blackpool. But what do you make of him, Mike? Because it was a fantastic goal, wasn't it? Great run from the halfway line and great finish as well.
Yeah, brilliant finish. And, we don't score many goals outside the box. And, it wasn't exactly, an absolute rocket which blasted into the top corner. It was, a brilliant strike from outside the box. And he just guided it really well into the bottom corner. So it was a very smart finish for a fullback. And it was good to see. But I completely echo what you said, Ben. I think defensively, he doesn't he doesn't look up to scratch so far. I do understand he's only 2 games in, played against Blackpool, made his full debut yesterday. Not a problem. Possibly could have scored a second as well, so that would have been a great, first league start for him. But from what I've seen so far, it doesn't look defensively up to scratch. But then again, I don't want to judge him off these two appearances. Let's give him a few games. He's got to settle in. It's a new league for him, new country, and all that. But yeah, from what I've seen so far, defensively, no. Getting forward, brilliant. It's nice to see when our wingers got the ball, he's overlapping. We used to see that regularly between Kiko and Sarr, and that was great. And the link-up play was brilliant. So it's great to see him overlapping, trying to get in the box, get the cutbacks. But I think a few more games is needed to judge him defensively, because so far he's not made good first impressions for me.
Yeah, I'm not writing him off fully either. I don't want people to think that I'm just writing him off after that appearance because I'm saying he's not cut out defensively yet. I think there's still time to improve, and I think he can improve. Look, what is he, about 21 years old? He's really young. He's really tall for a right back as well, but that's only going to help us defensively, aerially, isn't it? But I thought there's definitely room for improvement for him, and he does show promise. But I was getting, I don't know about you, but Daryl Janmaat vibes from him, the way he attacks down that right-hand side. And maybe a little bit where Janmaat scored coming in on the right-hand side a little bit and fizzing it across the goalkeeper in that bottom corner as well. And equally, I really liked the way he linked up with Martins yesterday. I thought we don't do that enough, having like 2 people on the same side doubled up in and linking up well and creating opportunities. Like, look, for example, the last couple of games we've had Sarr and Morris over on the left-hand side, and they've not been a massive threat. Sarr against Blackpool was coming inside all the time and driving with the ball. He wasn't having Morris overlapping him all the time. Whereas yesterday, Ferreira and Martins, they was causing problems. And you got to remember, both of them made a full debut yesterday. They've not been playing in this league for long. But I thought it showed promise. What did you think of Martin's performance yesterday? I thought first half we saw a lot of him. Second half it died down, and the only thing we really saw of him was hitting that crossbar.
Yeah, and again, he's another one that it's going to take time for him to adapt. New country, come from South America, totally different styles of play. Look at João Pedro. He didn't, it took him a while to get going. But from what I've seen so far, lively, likes to get the ball forward, not afraid to have a shot. Arguably could have scored in both games, was very lucky that his initial shot, which Adeyemo did finish in the end. I thought that was a brilliant save from the Blackpool goalkeeper originally. And then had a chance yesterday, hit the bar, didn't he? So, he's getting ever closer to that first goal. And again, I think once that first goal comes, especially if it comes early doors for him, it'll only, we'll reap the benefits from that, because a player like that coming into a new country, you get your first goal, you're thinking, right, okay, little bit of a breather, a bit more relaxation, because, there's a lot of eyes on me at the moment, and he's got that first goal. So I think it will only be a matter of games before we see him score his first Watford goal. But from what I've seen so far, very lively, likes to get the ball forward, not afraid to have a shot, tries to make things happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing his career develop with us.
Yeah, young guy as well, and I like that he's not afraid to try and take on his attack, his defender as well. He wants to try and make something happen. I just want to talk to you quickly about, obviously, there was no more goals in the game. It finished Watford 1, Rotherham 1, but there was a couple of penalty shouts in that game, Mike. From where I was sitting, obviously I was behind the goal in the rookery, and all the penalty shouts were coming up the Vicarage Road end. So I couldn't really tell from where I was. And I've seen a couple on TV today. I'm not convinced they're penalties. But what was your thoughts on was it 2 on Ismail Assar and 1 on Kone?
Yeah, I think if there was 4 altogether, I think 3 of them no. The only one which I think had a little bit of legs, I've seen a clip of it again today on Twitter, and it was when Ismail Assar had the ball right in the 6-yard box, and he was brought down. And yes, he perhaps goes down a little bit easy. I've seen Rotherham fans already on Twitter piping up saying, Watford are just diving, cheating bastards and all this. We get it all the time. That's the problem. But I think that was the only one that had probably any legs to it. I think Ishmael was, caught. There was definitely contact there. I think the referee yesterday, I think it was David Webb. We've not won any games that he's officiated us so far this season, and I think that was his fourth game that he's officiated us this season. Don't forget, cast your minds back. We're going back a while here when Marco Cassetti got sent off against Peterborough, and if anyone can remember, it was a bit of a joke of a red card, and David Webb was in fact the referee for that game as well. So he's not got good history with Watford, but I don't think he had the greatest of games yesterday. I think he let too much slide. I'm all for the referees letting the game flow, but there was a couple of questionable decisions from him. 3 of the penalty shouts, no, not for me, gone down too easily. But that Ismail Assar one in the 6-yard box, or just outside of it, I think that there was enough contact there to warrant a penalty. But at the end of the day, Ben, we shouldn't be relying on penalty shouts being given or being not given to win us games against teams like Rotherham. The bottom line is we need to be picking up 3 points. We've, as I said at the top of the show, we played Rotherham twice now and we've picked up 2 points. Again, no disrespect to Rotherham. I actually quite like Rotherham. I think it's a brilliant away day. If we don't go up, hopefully they stay up because I'll be doing it again next season. But to take 2 points from a team like that who are going to be down there, not good enough.
Yeah, and I've seen people on social media today blaming the ref on why Watford didn't win yesterday, or just moaning about the ref. And I get that, but I think Watford players don't help themselves sometimes. We go to the ground too easily. And then when it keeps happening so often in a match, and then when one actually maybe looks like a penalty, the ref's not going to give it because everyone else is just falling over with like a gust of wind. And that's what it looks like for Kones anyway, right in front of the Rotherham fans as well. And I just thought, you're shooting yourselves on your foot. You need to be clever, and if you are going to go down with a minimal contact, you need to be clever with how you're doing it. But yesterday, it just looked like they were panicking. We was 1-0 down against Rotherham, and every time I got into a penalty box and like a Rotherham player was nearby, it just felt like they was just trying to win that penalty to get back into a game. And I was just thinking, come on, guys, like try and win the ball. Just try and go about it the right way. I don't like seeing people fall to the floor with minimal contact. We've seen it before, and we've moaned about Knockout doing it and winning a penalty for diving and that. And I don't like seeing that. But there's better ways of going about trying to get back into a game. Maybe just trying to get the ball into a box a bit quicker and up in your tempo and actually winning second balls in the pitch. That might be a start instead of throwing yourself to the floor. So it just really annoyed me, and I sort of wanted to make a quick point on it. But yesterday as well, Mike, we could have won it late on. It was Yasser Espria. And I said to you just before we started recording, I don't know why he took that touch. If he hit that first time, I don't think, and if he got on target, I don't think the keeper would have saved it. But by taking that touch, he allowed the defender to close him down and for the keeper to actually steady his foot in, and then actually got in the right position to make a shot. But then it was just such a weak attempt, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know whether, I think Tommy Mooney or John Marks alluded to the fact that was his stronger foot. But still, even if it's on your weak foot, just get it on target. Like you said, the keeper, with the positioning he took up and with, the way that we had the ball and it was just a pass across the face of goal, the keeper was nowhere near it. So all you had to do was get it on target. And you're a professional footballer. You're telling me you can't hit the target with your weaker foot? You shouldn't be a professional footballer if that's the case. He's tried to do too much. And I feel sorry for him. I said it a couple of weeks ago on the pod. He keeps getting closer and closer to scoring a goal, and it's just not happening for him. And I'm starting to think, will it happen for him? Because every chance he's had, you think, yeah, this is it. And then he goes and misses it, or it's offside, or I don't know. But bottom line is, as you said, Ben, needs to be putting that away, and we come away 2-1 winners. Again, would it have been deserved? Probably not on the whole grand scheme of things. But listen, sometimes you play football games, you play shit, and you still win, and they're the best sort of wins. So, but yeah, he's got to be scoring that. But
Yeah, so
Rotherham had a chance as well, and they should have scored that
yeah.
chance. So,
But and equally, looking at them both, it was both really poor attempts, wasn't it? It was the ball fell to Foster within the
yeah,
6 yard box, and I don't know. It seemed like it took ages for him to actually have that shot, and it was such a tame effort. It was easy for Batman, wasn't it? I think Batman. Don't think he would ever make it easier save than it. It was just literally he just passed it back to him right into the arms of his chest, and he just cradled the ball, and it was just like. Because I didn't know what happened because it seemed like it was happening in slow motion. And I was talking to the guy next to me, James, and was talking about it. And I was like, he stopped. Yeah, he just stopped. And then he took his shot and it was like, did the whistle just go or something? Like, it just looked like it was a bit of confusion. Like, what on earth has actually gone on? But just a weird moment. I fully expect anyone else, like if that happened to Coventry and Gorkrest was on that, it would have sticked it in the back of the net. Same with like Pookie at Norwich, Ollie McBurney at Sheffield United, or Ashley Barnes of Barnsley, Burnley would all popped it away. But thankfully, it fell to Fosu in the Rotherham goal 6 yard box, and we got away with one there. Would you say a point was the fair result at the end of the game for both teams?
Yeah, I mean, for all the possession we had and everything else, we didn't really test the keeper, I don't think. You know, I remember at half time they show the stats on the screen, and I thought, you know, we had the lion's share of possession, and we perhaps got into some good positions, but we didn't actually have a shot on target in that first half. I know Rotherham only had the one, which was a goal, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. And we certainly, you know, if I'm being honest and not being biased, yeah, a draw probably was the right result. I think either team could have won it late on. As you say, you know, Fosu had that chance, squandered it completely. That made me think, oh, perhaps it is our lucky day. We might get another chance. And then Asprilla goes and misses it. But on another day, they both go in and it's 2-2. So, you know, I think a draw probably was the right result. But as we've said a couple of times already now, you can't be drawing these games. These are the games we need to win. Simple as. Burnley have done it, and look where it's got them. 18 points clear. 18 points clear. And we're third. That's absurd.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say as well about that, because obviously Watford remain in third place after the 1-1 draw with Rotherham yesterday. Middlesbrough could have overtaken us, but they ended up losing today 2-0 away to Sunderland. Which is great because Middlesbrough will want to react next week when we're playing them. So brilliant, well, boys. But yeah, Sheffield United 13 points in front of me, in front of Watford. 18 points are Burnley. Have you ever seen a league where it could be wrapped up by March, Mike? Because this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I said on the pod last week, I still think they're both due a slip up, and I stand by that. You know, Sheffield United are in this transfer embargo, can't bring anyone in. So, you know, if they have injuries, they're fucked, basically. I know it's, you know, a lot to take into consideration. That would mean that they would literally have to have the same sort of injuries that we've had, numbers-wise. But they can't bring anyone in. They can't strengthen the squad. So, you know, if players, if they have a couple of bad results, and, you know, he can't bring anyone in to say, right, you know, this area's been poor over the last couple of weeks. I've brought in a couple of new defenders, midfielders to sort of freshen the competition up. He can't do that. Burnley, again, you know, I watched them on Friday night against the Baggies. I thought the Baggies did really well, and ultimately come up short. You know, Burnley are terrific. I've been getting quite a lot of jib from Burnley fans on Twitter, on my personal one. So there was this Twitter account called Talking Tactics, and he was basically saying how good Burnley are. Make sure you get to watch a Burnley game this season because Vincent Kompany's completely revolutionised Burnley. So I screenshotted our fixture against Burnley where we won 1-0. I said, I can't agree more. Make sure you watch the game with Burnley in. And I kid you not, mate, I've had probably, my mentions have been on fire. I've been driving from 9 till 3 since Saturday. And I'll go on my break. After I finish my driving course, I come back and literally my mentions, oh, well, your keeper had a worldie. As if that doesn't, count. Oh, well, we were crap in the first half of the season. Honestly, Burnley fans are so salty. But yeah, going back to your original question, I think they'll have a wobble. That's not to say we'll catch them. They're 18 points clear. But we just need to get a run going. You look at previous seasons, I think Aston Villa, when they went up, I think they won like 8 games on the bounce. And, some games will be poor, but you'll still scrape a win. But ultimately, if you can get a few wins, consecutive wins under your belt, who knows? I think Sheffield United is our best chance of catching anyone. And I know people are already saying that yesterday sort of the final nail in the coffin, and it may well be, but you've got to keep winning your games, and you can't let what other people are doing bother you. If they win, it is what it is. But I think if not both, I think one of these will slip up at some stage, and we've still got to play both as well.
Yeah, there's still that. But yeah, after yesterday's performance and result, I've kind of came to a realization, well, for me and maybe many other Watford fans, that I think the other top two are just a bit too much out of reach. You can drop points, but 13 points Sheffield United, 18 points Burnley, it's an awful lot. And I know we do get to play them again this season, but that also goes down to, will Watford go for the rest of the season winning every single game? No, Watford will drop points as well. So I don't see us clawing back those 13 points on Sheffield United. I think it's now for Watford, the focus is to just not concentrate on that top two. Get your players back, because it's been a tough time for Watford Football Club at the moment, having 14 injured players out. Get the likes of Keenan Davis, João Pedro, Emran Louza, all back in that first team. Try and build some momentum. Finish the season strongly. And if you're in the playoffs, just take that momentum with you into the playoff semi-finals and hopefully the final. Because I don't want it to be stale, because sometimes you see teams that finish third, they either finish third and then they're falling just short of second place. And then their head's not in the right place for the playoffs. If we realistically put our heads outside of the playoffs, outside of automatic, and think, like, that's not going to go to us, we just need to focus fully on the playoffs. So what I want you to do this for the rest of the season is just build momentum, win as many games you can, take that form into the playoffs, because we know the playoffs is a bit of a lottery sometimes. But if you go in there full of confidence with all your players back, think Imran Louza, João Pedro, Keenan Davis, all back in the starting lineup. We've got the Benfica lad coming in. Bilic wants to bring in another 2-3 players as well. That's a really strong opportunity for Watford to capitalise into this playoffs. But then there's so many teams at the moment. Like we're 4 points from 10th place. Like, it's so tight at the moment. So I think we do need to pick up back-to-back wins at the moment. Well, Watford this season only seem to be maybe picking up 2 back-to-back wins this season. I don't think we've done 3 consecutive wins, and that's why we're not like getting even further away from 10th or 9th or 8th place, because we're not consistent enough. But we are doing incredibly well to be third in this table and suffer such an injury crisis which we've had, where we've had to heavily rely on our youth players. James Morris has just played 4 games in a row. Toby Adeyemi, he played against Reading, Blackpool, and now yesterday against Rotherham. We had another league debut from Michael Adepoke, came off the bench for the last 10-15 minutes as well. We're heavily relying on the youngsters, but we're still third in the table. We have picked up points. That's why I'm not feeling all doom and gloom at the moment, which I have done in previous pods. And I said last week, I feel reassured with what's happening with Watford and behind the scenes. I do feel more positive. So I think it could be a good end to the season for Watford. I know we've just dropped 2 points against Rotherham, but just keep the hope, keep the faith, because I think with the right signings and the players coming back at the right time, I think we can push up that table. Do you think it's all about getting those injured players back now for Watford, Mike?
Yeah, and this is why I think that, we can't write things off, because we have got that many players coming back. And I know, I'm not saying when they're all back, they're all going to fit straight in like a glove and everything's going to click. But
Yeah,
you
makes
know
you
in the
stronger.
Championship that you only have to put a few wins together and, straight up. Obviously, a little bit different in our case. We're perhaps the best position we can be. There's quite a sizable gap between first and second, but like I say, all that has to happen in the Championship. You lose 2-3 games in a row, or you win 2-3 games in a row. Anything can happen. Turn it on its head. You an example I want to use. I know 10 points sounds a lot, but it's less than what we are behind Sheffield United. But Birmingham City. A lot of my mates, Birmingham City fans, they're going through a terrible time at the moment. They're screaming doom and gloom. They're saying it's really bad. They're 10 points beyond the playoffs. They win 3 games in a row. No matter what the others do, they win 3 games in a row. They might be back in the picture, and it's mad. Preston North End. One of my best mates is a Preston fan. I was speaking to him about one of the players the other week because we were linked with him, and he was like, "Yeah, there's been a couple of players that have played shit. They're 3 points. They're 4 points behind us, and they're 11th. So it's crazy the Championship is, but yeah, ultimately it is about getting these players back, getting them fit, getting them in the squad, and then just seeing what we can do. All we can do, Ben, regardless of how many points people might be ahead of us, we have to focus on ourselves, win our games. The playoffs, as you've mentioned, is a lottery. You might finish third. I remember that season we finished third under Boothroyd. Luckily, we won it. There's been many a times in the playoffs, not just in the Championship, League One, League Two, where you finish third and you miss out. I think it's so horrible at times, the playoffs is. But, you look at Reading that season, I think they were like 12th, 13th, went on a run towards the end of the season, got into the playoffs on the last day and ended up winning the playoffs because the momentum was with them. So absolutely is about getting those players back, bedding them in, and making sure that momentum is with us. And who knows what will happen. If we miss out this season, let's make sure we keep those players. Let's make sure we sort out whatever the problem is with the medical team, sort out all these injuries. Where is it coming from? Why is it happening? Sort that out, and let's have a crack at it next season. And with that squad we've got, who knows what could happen, providing we don't go this season.
Yeah. Well, one player who looks like he's on his way out soon as well is William Troost-Ekong. I know we both wanted to say a little bit on him now. And he's potentially joining a Serie A club on loan. But there's a clause in the contract where he has, if he plays a certain amount of games, he would be eligible to sign for him permanently. And it's probably the right time for him to maybe move on. He probably wants to be getting more game time than what he actually is at Watford. He probably knows that Bilic has been playing Sierralta over him, so he knows that he's not first choice centre back. So he's probably looking elsewhere. I've seen that he's got a new agent recently as well, so he's probably tried to find solutions for him to get that game time which he needs. But I think Watford are going to miss him a little bit, Mike. I know not maybe in footballing terms, but behind the scenes. Yes, he was never the best footballer for Watford, and he had mistakes in him. And boy, God, we've seen the mistakes, and they've been terrible mistakes, some of them. But you could never fault the heart or desire or the love that he showed for our football club. And his missus, his family, they're all Watford fans. So he became a Watford fan and he embraced our football club. And don't forget that he was the voice behind the 2021 season as well. Behind the scenes when it was getting all bad, he got all the boys together with a couple other senior people, but I think he instigated it after that 0-0 draw away to Coventry City. And then Watford, after his meeting, won 6-0 against Bristol City and then went on to get promoted. So that's the kind of character he is behind the scenes and the leader he is. But I just wish him all the best for the rest of his career. And I think Watford are going to miss that side of him. What would you like to say about Trusty Con, Mike?
I think you've pretty much summed it up perfectly there, Ben. I think he's not to be underestimated. His influence behind the scenes, when he come in, I think he was captain for Udinese a couple of times, captain for Nigeria as well. So it was all, oh, that sounds good. We need leaders. And as you say, he was that main instigator behind that meeting after the drab Coventry game. I think they had another meeting this season as well. I know it's perhaps not had the same effect. But
they're weekly, aren't they, these meetings?
Well, yeah. But, he's called that, and he's a leader. He has those leadership skills. Perhaps, he's not performance-wise lived up to expectation at times, and especially in the Premier League, perhaps looked a little bit out of his depth. But as you say, he's a Watford fan. His family are from Watford as well. He gets the club. You don't sign many players that get the club, which is nice to see as well. You look at that Luton game. That was the pinnacle. That was really good. He scored, ran straight to the crowd. Their guy gets sent off. Gives that wave. I thought he was brilliant, and he just gets it. And like I say, you don't get many players nowadays that just get it. And ultimately, in the defence that we've got, it is a little bit strange, the timing. It would say to me that we've got someone lined up. I think I've seen reports tonight to say that we're leading the race now for that Porteous from Hibernian. So whether he's the man that's going to come in and take that place with Pollock potentially going out on loan, which, although we reported that in the last podcast, and nothing's happened since. So again, maybe they're waiting until Monday to just announce it all. I don't know. But, with Pollock going out, Troost-Ekong going out, that sort of says, and Cabba's injured as well, that sort of says, well, we need a couple of defenders in. So it's a bit strange with the timing, but I like to think that Manga and co have got this under control and they've got their targets in place, and it's just a matter of days now before it's all wrapped up. But absolutely, wish him the best. There was a video on Twitter I saw. I don't know if you, in fact, no, you didn't stay till the end because you recorded your run back to the car. But at the end of the game, he was visibly waving goodbye to the fans. But best of luck to him. I've nothing but respect for him. He tries his best. Whether his best is good for us or not, like I said not long ago about Jack Greaves, it doesn't matter. If he tries his best, that's all we want from the players. So, yeah, best of luck to him, and he's going back to Italy. Knows the league well, so perhaps he'll be back at his best over there.
Yeah, I have felt sorry for him at times during his Watford career as well, because I do feel like he's been made a bit of a scapegoat at times as well, and not, and I don't think it's been due sometimes. I don't think it's been. It shouldn't have happened. And do you remember a time where he was getting so much stick at one time? He got rid of his social media accounts because he was just getting abused all the time. And no one should get abused for just doing their job. Like, okay, we all make mistakes, but don't jump on people's backs like the way he did. The way he received it, and it was just horrible to see. Because obviously he probably wasn't in a great mind frame at that point when he was getting all those bits and pieces being sent to him. He obviously knew his performances weren't up to scratch, and he was trying to deal with it the best that he could. But then he would come online afterwards and see all the abuse that he got, and that was just uncalled for and just undeserved, and no one should pick up abuse like that. But yeah, wish him Troost-Ekong all the best for the rest of his career. I'm not going to say he's been a fantastic servant for the club, but he's definitely embraced Watford Football Club and loved this football club, and for that I thank him. So cheers, Truce. But yeah, a little bit of news on Matty Pollock, Mike. You said about him, Ben. We talked about him last week. He actually went down to Exeter last week, Thursday, Friday, and he actually trained with the Exeter first team. But then all this news about William Troost-Ekong was floating around, and he was asked to come back by Watford to be in and around the first team because they didn't know how quickly this move with Truce Econ was going to materialise. So he was like on standby to come back up. But the move hasn't collapsed with Exeter. I believe that once we've got a replacement in, then Pollock would be allowed to go back out again. But you think if we was going to let Pollock go and then Truce go, Cabaselli's still out injured, so we don't have that spare defender to go onto a bench at the moment. So I think Pollock's just here until we sign another defender, and then Pollock will be allowed to go out on loan. Just wanted to mention that because I saw that earlier and heard it yesterday as well. But yeah, you're right, Mike. The defender that Watford are highly being linked with is Ryan Porteous of Hibernian. Adam Leventhal mentioned it after the game yesterday that Watford were linked with him, and they're going to look to try and get him in through the doors now. And also, BBC website also announced it this evening as well. Watford lead the race for 23-year-old Scottish international. Hibs have been in talks with Indonesia in the last couple of weeks regarding him because he's out of contract at the end of the season. If he signed a pre-contract with Indonesia, they would have got him for free at the end of the season, and they wouldn't have to pay a fee for him. I think if Watford wanted to sign him, they would have to wait until the end of the season on a free transfer. But Indonesia could have wrapped it up in January because they're an overseas club. But Watford want to pursue this deal now, so there would have to be a transfer fee to be paid to Hibs. I believe Blackburn Rovers were interested last week and put in a bid for him. Indonesia have actually put in a bid for him in the recent weeks as well for £250,000, and that was rejected. So it's not a lot of money, but Hibernian are asking for. So it'll be interesting to see what the transfer fee would be. Transfer Market, the website, have got him down as for £1 million, and they're normally quite spot on with the transfer fees and that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Do you know much about Ryan Porteous? All I know is he's a bit of a leader, and he's a bit of a mouthy guy as well, from what I've seen, because I watch a fair bit of SBL sometimes because I like following Rangers and seeing how they're doing. And whenever I've seen him, he's a bit of a little shit, and he's very mouthy, and he's in the opposition's face a lot. But then I look at this Watford team and think, we haven't got any characters like that. And you need characters like that. You looked at the Rotherham team yesterday, Lee Peltier. I cannot stand the bloke. But that's what you need in your team. You need players like that.
I can't proclaim to knowing anything. And on that point you've just said, I think Morrison for Rotherham, I think he's a little twat. But, like you say, you need players like that. I'll never forget the video he put out in that back of the black cab talking about Richard Keogh. And I thought, mate, you're a knob. Like, who do you think you are? But you need horrible little bastards like that. People that just ankle bite, as I call them. Troy Deeney. Any opportunity at the ref. But sometimes you need that. So if that's what he's like, then absolutely, I'm all for it. I can't say I've ever watched him play. I don't know his style of play. But I'd imagine that if he's, a bit of a mouthy one, he's not afraid to get stuck in. We need defenders like that. You look at Matty Pollock, just for an example, against Millwall. Millwall are a team which everyone knows how they play. Everyone knows what it's like. It's hostile. But if you've got players that aren't afraid to give it them back and, get in their face, scream, shout, be a horrible little bastard, then, you match them for what they've got. And so they're the ones that carry you through games sometimes. It even goes down to Sunday, Saturday league, park football. You got someone in your team that's a horrible little bastard, just shouts, in everyone's face. You're going to have the advantage straight away. If you can get in the opposition's heads, that's it, ultimately. So hopefully he's like that, and hopefully we win the race and we can get him through the door. I'd like to think that Manga has spoken to Bilic. Bilic is obviously aware of the situation, and I'd like to think we've got someone lined up and someone coming through the door very soon because, as you've said, the only two fit centre-backs we've got at the moment, and this is no complaints, but is Cathcart and Sierralta and Pollock, obviously. But hopefully someone comes through the door very, very soon.
Let's hope so. Bilic seems to think that there will be a few signings this week. So I think it's going to be a busy week at WD18. But just quickly before we wrap it up, the youth team have got their date for the Arsenal game in the 5th round of the FA Youth Cup. It will be Monday, the 6th of February at 7 p.m. So make sure you get yourself down to Vicarage Road to support on the youngsters. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And me and Mike will be back next weekend. We're away to Middlesbrough. It's going to be a tough game. Middlesbrough will be looking to bounce back after their 2-0 defeat away to Sunderland this afternoon. And Watford will be wanting to pick up more than a point than what we did yesterday. Hopefully, maybe more players will be coming back from injury. Keenan Davis is maybe being reported to coming back. I know he was due to be back this weekend, but then he had an illness which delayed his return. So that would be a big difference what his front line if he's back. And even if Henry Ariho, I think, is that how you pronounce his name? I have no idea. Butchered it there. But hopefully he'll be in and around the first team as well. Hopefully starting. But yeah, stay safe everyone and come on yours.